Survivors, seekers, and thrivers, welcome to Transcending Trauma, a spiritual odyssey. I'm Shari Lee Roberts, living proof that transformation is real. Get ready for powerful insights, inspiring stories, and a little laughter along the way.
Hello and welcome. I am so proud to have Dr. Sue McCreadie, a hometown girl, here today. Thank you, Dr. Sue, for being here. How about you introduce your awesome self?
I'd love to. Thanks for having me, Sherry. Yes, we are hometown girls from the state of Michigan.
Yeah.
Sherry and I probably grew up from like a half an hour away from each other, which is super fun. And I'm Dr. Sue McCreadie. I am a pediatric physician who specializes in helping kids heal naturally and primarily through nutrition. That's my focus. And also, I am now a coach to women in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, and really helping them sustain happiness through this awesome transition that we call midlife. Though it's kind of funny because since I've been using this terminology, midlife, people really don't associate with midlife. People really don't. Like I was interviewed on another podcast, and the host said, "Wait, I'm like 43. Does that make me midlife?" I said, "Yes, midlife is in your 40s, 50s, and 60s. So if you're listening in your 40s, 50s, and 60s, that this is a huge transition of life. And I am now, I'm 53, so I'm smack dab in the middle of this beautiful transition. And I got to say, it's fun. It's really fun. So it's probably helpful, Sherry, if I share kind of how I even became a coach for midlife women. I actually started with medicine. Traditional medicine is my training. I'm trained as a medical doctor. And the person who inspired me to be a medical doctor is my very own mama. And that's who I work with. I work with mamas. Though you don't have to be married or have children for me to work with you. But I think it's beautiful that she is such an inspiration in my life and has been from the beginning. And I was sharing with Sherry earlier that basically back in the day in the 80s where you could take your kids to work, you could also take them into the emergency room, which is where my mom worked, in the emergency room. And she took me there and I followed her around from trauma bay to trauma bay to trauma bay. And I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And so I said in that day, it was like she expanded my world in that moment. And I said, "Mom, I want to be a nurse like you." And she said, "Susan," she calls me Susan, "give the orders, don't take the orders." So obviously, this is from a woman who likes to give orders because she likes to give orders. And it's so funny because I didn't even question it. I was like, oh, okay. So off I went to become, a medical doctor, which definitely had its challenging moments. And I thought I wanted to be a psychiatrist. Like I love human behavior, right? And so I thought I wanted to be a psychiatrist. And once I got to psychiatry and saw what it was, my experience of psychiatry at that time, going through training, was a lot of medical management. It was a lot of drug management. And I thought, oh, that's not really what fills me up. So that's how I transitioned to become a pediatrician. But I think it's so funny, Sherry, that like I've come full circle and I'm not a psychiatrist, but I'm helping women manage emotions and master their mental state to sustain happiness during all these transitions where our body's changing, our relationships are changing, work may be changing. So there's just so much transition and change.
What transpired and what did you recognize a need for help in this area? Now, for me, when my kids left the nest, I was happy. But for friends of mine who were way more embroiled in their kids' lives, have that empty nest syndrome going on. I'd love to hear how you went from pediatrics to helping people in honestly the best part of their lives. I've got really good now.
Yeah, it's really a rich part of our lives. It was an evolution. It's been a 20-year evolution, actually, almost 20 years. And that really started in my pediatric practice because these moms were like, how can you help me, Dr. Sue? And I knew I didn't want to do functional medicine for adults because adult medicine just doesn't really light me up. I don't know. You can't really force that, right?
Yeah.
So I went through a series of evolutions, otherwise known as businesses, to help women. And looking back, I kind of feel like it's sort of like I was shopping, like I was taking a suit off the rack and like putting it on, or like a dress, and being like, this feels kind of good, And then I either grew out of it, I grew out of the dress, it got a little too tight or restrictive. It just no longer really fit. And so I put it back on the rack. And actually, Sherry, I gave up, not in a bad way. I was just like, I just don't really know how to serve these women. Everything that I've tried so far, it just is missing the mark. Like either they want something that I'm not, my heart isn't at peace, or like, I want to deliver this. And they're like, Sue, that's off the mark. And so it was really, I just put it down. I actually joked with my friends, I'm semi-retired, because around here, people are like, what do you do? Like my kids joke, they're like, when someone says, what does your mom do? We just say, she's a pediatrician. There's so many other things. I've been a nonprofit founder and runner. I've done network marketing sales, and, I've just done so many things. And so now coaching is really where it was at the end of this network marketing sales where I was just like, this just isn't me. Like, I love these products. They feel good for me, but it just doesn't light my soul to do this. And I really want to help these women. So I finally just said, I'm semi-retired. I'm going to finish out the pediatric gig. And like, I'm not sure, God, I'm just going to put this down because it's just not working. It's a lot of time, effort, energy, money, resources, and it's just not working. And so I put it down. And literally, Sherry, within, I don't know if it was a few weeks or a few months, but a very short period of time, I saw an email in my inbox, and I followed the breadcrumb, and I watched this bubbly woman on a screen, and she was like, I was like, oh, she's fun. Oh, she's spiritual. Oh, that's cool. And then lo and behold, like I was in a 3-day seminar of hers. And then all of a sudden I was signed up for a year-long coaching program with her. I was like, what? It's just sort of following the breadcrumbs or following my intuition. My heart was like, maybe this is it, you know? And as soon as I remember she gave us direction, like, write this email, send it out. And I did. I just sent it out to this list of subscribers of these women who have been following me through all these different iterations, from pediatrics through all these different businesses. And I just sent it out and I said, hey, anyone want to be coached? In essence, that's what it said.
Wow.
And 5 women raised their hands. 5 women were like, yeah, I'll be coached. And so I just took it as like the great experiment. I just said, you know what? Let's give this, like, I just didn't charge a lot of money. And I said, if none of this works, it just feels terrible. You can have all your money back. I'm just here being curious, like, if I can really serve in this way, if it lights me up, if it lights you up, if it's for the greater good, let's go. Because for me, the greater good is the ripple effect for children. When I coach women, they're rippling it through their family. Their husbands, or partners learn these techniques. Their kids learn these frameworks, right? And therefore grandkids. Like one of my coaching clients recently, we had a ripple effect to the grandkids. And I'm like, yes, I never would be able to I'll never meet that grandchild. I just see cute pictures of them, right?
Yeah.
But for me, like, oh, that's the ripple effect of love. Like I have just hit the lane. I'm super excited.
So delve more into your coaching techniques and what was it that you taught a grandmother that rippled down?
Well, I would say, let me first start with the techniques that I use. So a lot of my founding, like, principles, philosophies, frameworks, if you will, that I teach comes from Tony Robbins. And Tony Robbins is a coach and businessman and mentor to many. If you haven't heard of his name, Google him. He's this great big giant guy with a huge heart. And he's been doing personal development before there was even a name for personal development. He's in his 60s now and has been doing this for like 40 plus years. Yeah. And so he's, tested these frameworks over millions of people, all over the globe. And they've worked for me. They've worked in my family. And so these are the frameworks that I teach. Another huge framework, and I'll share the framework that I taught with this grandmother. But another tool that I use in my coaching business is tarot numerology. It's kind of the blend of tarot and numbers. And I stumbled upon this just by following my intuition. I was on vacation with my husband. We were walking through a fun store in a fun town. And I was just drawn like a magnet to these cards. Yeah. And I picked up.
Oh, that. What town? Where?
Asheville.
Oh my God.
Asheville.
Yes. North Carolina. Okay. Yeah. Go on.
Asheville, North Carolina.
Yeah.
It was one of those stores where I just lit up and my whole being, I was just like, wow, this is so cool. I even took a video, like I panned it to share it with my friend because I knew she would love this store. And then I was walking around the store and I was drawn to this deck of cards and I didn't know what they were, but I was just like, tarot. I've heard that word. I'm not really sure what to do or how it works, but I was like, I need these deck of cards. So I, again, just found myself at home with this deck of cards, not really sure what to do. And it ended up that I, enrolled in a tarot certification program and a numerology certification program at the same time. And I just blended these two philosophies, which is, again, all just about pattern recognition. So this is one of the frameworks that I teach that Tony taught me is like, see a pattern. So when I learned that, wait a minute, like numbers are patterns, like I've been seeing number patterns like the 111 or the 444 or the 555. I've been seeing them since my 20s, not really sure what they were and, kind of got into angel numbers and all of that, right? And would just say like, these are my angels talking to me. These are angels giving me messages, right? This is one of the ways that I developed my intuition further, just sort of tuning in, like when that came up, what is that? Connecting the dots. So I've been into numbers for a while, but not in this sort of structured way. So I just started figuring out as I went along. I really did it as a tool to increase. That was my intention. I am using this as a tool to increase my intuition, because if these patterns are happening, I want to know what these patterns are. I want to be in the flow of the pattern. So I don't want to work against the pattern. I want to see the pattern and use the pattern instead of the pattern using me. Use the pattern, right? So see the pattern, use the pattern, and then create a new pattern if you need to, right? And so that's one of the frameworks that I teach. And I use neuronumerology as a tool. So to get to your question about this grandmama, I love her. I've been coaching her for, a while now. So she's well familiar with a lot of the frameworks. But the framework that I shared, or we remembered together that day, was the framework of the 6 human needs, which I also learned from Tony Robbins, 6 human needs psychology. And the 6 human needs is the principle that we all share the same 6 human needs. However, we prioritize them differently and we meet those needs differently. So the 6 human needs are the need for certainty, that I can feel safe and comfortable, feel more pleasure than pain. Yeah. The need for variety, because if I have too much certainty in my life, it feels like Groundhog's Day. It's boring. It's predictable. So I also like variety. Variety is the spice of life. It's the differences, right? Yeah. I also have the need for significance, which is being seen and heard, and also needed. This is a big way that moms often meet their need for significance, is that they're needed. The 4th is a need for love and connection. Love being unconditional acceptance, and connection being belonging, part of something. The 5th is a need for growth, that I'm expanding mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and the need for contribution or giving beyond myself. So in this moment, she was in a moment of crisis where something, there was infidelity in one of her children's marriages. And so this is can feel like the rug pulled off underneath you, like you're not expecting it, right? It just kind of comes out of nowhere. Yeah. And so what we went over was the framework of these 6 human needs, that we all prioritize them differently. So in a marriage, right, when you have the top, just thinking about those 6 human needs. I can share mine, for right now at this point in my life. This wasn't true when I entered into Tony Robbins' world. My top needs when I entered into Tony Robbins' world and learning this framework was love and connection, and then significance. And what I was significance, I really wanted to be seen and heard. I wanted to be different. I wanted to be like, hey, the mini celebrity Dr. Sue. That's really what was at the root of it. But love and connection wants to connect, and significance wants to stand out. So it's like these 2 needs are kind of in push and pull. It's really hard to be at peace and happiness with that, right? And with more self-development and personal reflection, I was like, hey, I don't want to feel this anymore. So we can shift our 6 human needs. So I said, hey, okay, well, I'm going to move up growth and move that significance down. I love to grow. I love learning and growing, expanding mentally, emotionally, spiritually, bring it. Okay, love and connection and growth. Yeah. So you can think about yourself, Sherry, if you think about your 6 human needs, certainty, variety, significance, love and connection, growth, and contribution. Is there 1 or 2 that stand out above the rest as what's most important for you?
Yeah. I have definitely needed variety. Mm-hmm. And I I don't have to explain that I have always needed that. And love, unconditional love, where I have only had and very limited supplies. Totally get all of the others, but those are the two. And this point that I resonate with. I am fortunate enough to be traveling globally, and that provides variety in all forms. And I have unconditional love of two daughters. So
That's
I am
beautiful.
in a beautiful place, having done all the healing and things to get here. So keep talking and
Yeah. So I would love, yeah. So I would love to, so within these top two needs, there's one ranked over the other. So let me share how this can make a vast difference in your life. So most women that I work with, their top two needs are love and connection and certainty usually. And so the difference between love and connection first and certainty is vastly different than putting certainty first and then love and connection. So that may be a little hard to see right now, but it's probably easiest for me to say, if someone ranks variety high on their list and it's top on their list, they're going to have a vastly different life than someone who ranks certainty as number one, right? Because certainty, it does bring you safety. You know that you can usually experience more comfort than pain, though people often stay in non-supportive and even abusive relationships because they're certain that they can at least know that they're going to have that, if that makes sense.
Well, and there is an excellent point that I should have quantified. I am so far into my healing transformative journey that certainty that I am fine and all is cared for by God, that I no longer worry about that. That's just done. It is. It has been
So
every day.
That's beautiful. Yeah, and that's actually a way that one of the women that I work with, she was able to move certainty down on her list because she's a very faith-based person. And so when she reframed that the ultimate certainty really is faith, she was like, oh, I guess I can move that down. Right? So the difference really, between love and connection being first versus certainty, and there's no right or wrong. It's just where you are in your life. Some women need a lot of certainty in order to get safe in a moment, right? So there's nothing wrong with it. But but it does change your, perspective and viewpoint and expansiveness based on how you're prioritizing these needs. So that's what we went back to with this grandma. We went back to the 6 human needs, and I said, out of curiosity, what do you think your daughter's top 2 needs are? What do you think your son-in-law's top 2 needs are? And were they meeting these needs by getting them from each other, which brings them closer? Or were they meeting these needs outside of the marriage? And it was very clear that they were meeting these needs outside the marriage. So it takes 2 to tango.
Yes.
And so, so that's how I use these frameworks.
Wow.
It's basically a way to shift your perspective and make it neutral so that you can just see that what's at play here, rather than saying I'm bad or she's bad or he's bad or this is good or that's not right or this is wrong, right? It just really allows you to open up and shift your perspective by acknowledging, like, have I ever met my needs outside of marriage? Sure. And what were the choices? Like, what were my results when I did that? Did we grow closer or did we go farther apart? Right. Yeah. So it gives a real kind of clear grounding, something to rest on. And also knowing that all of these things, whatever is happening to us, as you know, is happening for us and through us. And this could be an opportunity to really grow that marriage closer. Right. So that's what we shared. And the ripple effect is whether that couple stays together or leaves, if they're consciously aware of why they're doing what they're doing, it's astronomically healthy for those children. And they don't become the weapons, right?
Yeah.
That are used between the two. Yeah.
So today, you meet your clients in groups, and you mentioned tarot cards. Tell us how you use them in your group meetings, and do you use them for your own personal guidance and your family? You had told me you have, I think, 3 daughters. Do you use them to help guide them more?
I'd say I do have my own tarot numerology practice. It's every morning. So every morning I'm centering with a calendar, because every day is a number.
Yeah.
And numerology is a little tricky because it's not just the number of the day in our traditional calendar. You're actually adding up the month, the day, and the year to get that number of that day. So today we are recording this on August 8th, 2025. So, and we're in the month of August of 2025 is actually an 8 energy month. So this is like a double 8 day.
Oh.
So so Sherry goes, ooh, see, like that's a pattern. That's like, what is that?
Yeah.
What it is, whatever you want it to be. I mean, it's sort of like when you start to study these numbers, 8, the shape of the 8, if you turn it on its side, is the shape of infinity. So a lot of 8 is about flexing and flowing, integrating masculine and feminine, infinite possibilities, infinite resources, there's just, so a lot of this too. And I think this is where people are like, it's because there's no one way to interpret a number or a tarot card. Really, what I'm using them as is a tool to connect with your subconscious. Because when I coach women, it's usually because something in their life they are not happy about. They're not at peace with. Or they want to expand. Like maybe they want to create a passion project, or maybe they want to find a man, right? Or maybe they want to get, have a better relationship with their child, their adult child. I mean, it runs the whole gamut, but something feels like unsettled. Something feels like I'm not quite there yet. And all of the current results that each of us have in our lives, the vast majority is from the subconscious, not the conscious awareness. It's what we're not aware of yet. And those thoughts and those feelings and those, rules and beliefs are what drive our actions, our habits, and therefore our results. So when you want a different result, you get to figure out what subconscious limiting belief or feeling of suffering, your favorite flavors of suffering, I call them. What is it that's driving that? And that's why I use this tool to sort of get underneath that, if that makes sense.
Okay. Well, let's talk about our innate intuitive abilities. Your use of tarot tells me that you are definitely connected to Siberia, because at the time you draw cards, you were asking for yourself, your clients, whomever, they guide you to the cards that need to be seen, that carry the message that whomever needs. Now, you are one of a minority of people, sadly, they had a beautiful, loving upbringing. Therefore, your intuition was never hidden or shouldn't have been. Do you know what your intuitive abilities are? And I ask this because I am hearing from your superior team that you don't even need tarot cards. You are getting the messages you need but you're not quite confident enough in them to cut off terrible and go with what they're telling you. But the opposite or converse of that is they are hearing you and really responding to you. Does that make sense?
Yes. So I see tarot or any of these as bridging tools. They're bridgers. And what I mean by like a bridge is and also it's fun.
Yeah.
It's very fun. So, yes, it has definitely been a tool that has increased my intuition. I wouldn't blanketly say that because I grew up in a secure, loving, safe environment that none of my intuitive gifts were ever shut off. I think collectively, globally, that can happen. And things that happen outside that, is out of, my parents' safe control can happen, right? So I feel that my intuition, my general is my go-to is that I'm a feeler. I can feel things. And I think that's a process of learning that I'm a feeler. That's something that I teach my children now, like that because only coming from our own center, we don't realize that some other people aren't feeling the situation the way that we feel it. And so I can see that for myself, that just like my girls were feelers, I feel things. So that is definitely the one you asked that comes easiest for me. And the one that I didn't want per se was the visionary, clairvoyant, because I thought that meant I'm going to see a bunch of dead people and I don't want to because that scares the bejeebers out of me. So that was a process of learning and working to reopen that. And I'm a very visual learner. And when I work with clients, I can, share what I see. I can see this, right? And that's very helpful for them to like cast the vision per se.
You see in your mind's eye, right? You don't see dead people or any of that, but you get symbols or you see in your mind different things. Is that it?
Yeah, essentially. I can just see it. Like it's not in the physical space out there.
Yeah.
It's just like the vision. I can see the vision.
Yeah.
And I have heard, I've had clairaudient moments, but that's definitely not my go-to. And Claire,
I actually am being told that Claire audience is way stronger than you realize. You are hearing way more than your realizing. Yes. So when you hear something while you're with a patient client, stop for a second. Let them repeat it, and then go forward. That will and can become your super power. I mean, it is strong. Yeah, awesome. All of the abilities are so helpful in moving us forward in our journey. Are you able to help your clients uncover their abilities and develop them? You've already talked about the importance of identifying and releasing blocks that prevent us from knowing and developing those abilities, which is amazing.
Yeah, I would say that's why I love the tarot too, because it's a tool to help them increase their intuition. And so when I'm teaching, like when I'm coaching as a group, we'll look at a card together, which is so much fun. When you have a bunch of beautiful souls looking at a card together, you see all sorts of different things. And it's a collective message for all of us. Even me as a leader, like I receive the insight that's coming through. It's like, oh, that message is clearly for me, right? That just happened at the last coaching session, right? I was like, wow, I totally received that. Like, thank you so much for sharing that message. And to me, that's where I feel like source and soulful medicine is just happening through those cards. My experience, and so I do that with one-on-one coaching too. We'll be looking at cards. My experience of it is that I work with intuitive women. Obviously, they just haven't really realized their intuitive gifts. They haven't owned them. They haven't acknowledged them. They haven't yet, given them celebration. And so through this process of us looking at a card together, I acknowledge what they're seeing, right? I also say, wow, I've never seen that. I've looked at this card 100 times. I've never seen what you're seeing. Like, wow, that's so good. Yeah. And that they're like, wow, is that good? it just reinforces and empowers them to realize like, okay, I got this, like this is happening. And it's something where you can just feel the truth in the moment of it, right? Yeah. It just lands in a way that you can't deny. And so that just happened last night with a one-on-one client. It was just like, both of us were like, wow. Mm-hmm. And she was like, mic drop, Dr. Sue. And she like wrote it down and she sent it to me today. And I was like, I didn't have any I couldn't repeat what I said to her today. Like, I don't know, but it came through at that moment, just like, boom, it comes through. And to me, that's like source just coming through. Yeah. You're just a vessel. And right now that the tarot is just a super fun way to do it because it loosens the way that I think of it. It just loosens everybody up. It's like a fun game. It's like, what do you see? Well, what do you see? Well, what do you see? Yeah. Right. And it just becomes super fun. And you get out of your conscious head that's trying to overthink this situation or this problem. And collectively together, we're coming up with a much better strategy that you feel is grounded and centered around you and what you value and who you are. And that is easy to execute.
Yes. Do you mind sharing the personal message that you received where the card was drawn and you knew it was meant for you? Can you share what that was and how it related to you that you knew it was for you?
For me or for the client? Are you talking about the message I
You.
received for the client? Oh,
Yeah.
how I knew it was for me? Oh,
Yeah.
because I feel it. Like when we were in that group coaching session and this one person, had shared, I see this literally, like I had tears welling up. I like put my hands over my heart. Like I could just feel like, wow, I really needed that message today, and I think that I'm like, thank you so much. I definitely needed that message today. And so in that instant, I felt it.
What was that said?
Oh, that message is to hold on to hope. Hold on to hope. Put it close to your heart. Hold on to hope and keep believing in your dream. Keep believing in your dream. Like, yeah, hold on to hope and keep believing in your dream.
That awesome. Okay, I cannot believe we have talked for an hour. I'm sad, but Dr. Sue, please share any words of wisdom or inspiration that you feel people need to hear.
I think what's coming through for me right now is just follow the breadcrumbs. They may be scattered in a bunch of different directions that you may not understand why you're interested in this and also that and also this. And none of them seem to really go together necessarily. That continue to just follow the next breadcrumb and it will come together eventually. In divine time, it will come together. And I feel like that's what soulful medicine is for me. Soulful medicine and coaching with Dr. Sue, that's all these random breadcrumbs over the past 20 years coming together to make bread and break bread with others, right? It's like, wow, that was a long journey. And also allow it to be fun. Like look into it like with curiosity, with wonder, with trust, like a child trusts a fun and, scavenger hunt, with that type of feeling of like, this is fun. I'm going to learn something new. What could happen next? Right. In contrast to, what most of us adults do are like, oh my gosh, is this ever going to come together? This doesn't make any sense. Why am I doing this? What's wrong with me? Other people do it better, faster, stronger, whatever it is. And to me, that all like, the Source doesn't want that for us. Source wants us to begin again, fresh start, feel good in the process, have fun with it. That's to me the beauty of like sustainable happiness is like, okay, that happened. All right. That's great. Now what? What's next? That.
They are still poignant and on the mark. So many of my clients want to live in the past and beat themselves up for choices they made. But to your point, the breadcrumbs have led them to where they are today. And even though you didn't think you'd end up there, but are noticing the beauty of it, recognize you didn't make poor choices or mistakes. You were probably in alignment, and now you are where you were meant to be. And I say that assuming that you're beyond the abuse, poor choices, people, lifestyle, and all of that. Look around at how far you've come. Show gratitude and appreciate, celebrate where you are. And now you can do whatever you choose.
Beautiful.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Transcending Trauma, the Spiritual Odyssey. If you're working to overcome trauma and would like to work with me or be a guest on my show, contact me through my website at shariroberts.org. Please hit the follow button to make sure you don't miss any episodes. I'd love to connect with you on LinkedIn at Shari Roberts. You can find all the links in the show notes. I'd love to hear from you. I'm Shari Roberts, your host, reminding you that you're never alone. Until next time, sending you love and light.